And finally, Sanlam has attributed its strong gains, which include a 19% earnings rise, to strategy, execution and vision. The company has reported a record achievement of 12.4 billion rand in net result from financial services, 19% growth in the life insurance portfolio, while general insurance jumped by 21% and investment growth hiked by 14%. Abigail Mukhuba speaks to us about these developments. Thank you so much for your time, Abigail. Quite impressive double-digit growth. What really is the journey behind reaching these numbers?
Good afternoon. Yes, double-digit growth that we're very pleased with. I think it really is just a culmination of dedicated teams that have concentrated on making sure that they realize the strategy and implement the strategy as the board has approved. It's been very difficult trading conditions. However, I think in terms of leadership and direction and working towards one goal, I think the teams were able to achieve such record performance.
Talk to us then about the strategy going forward in maintaining the gains and maybe accelerating them as we go into the financial year of 2024.
We've communicated previously that our strategy is pretty much linked or pillared on making sure that we strengthen our Fortress SA position, but also to make sure that we grow our business in the Africa continent and everywhere else that we operate outside, particularly focusing on the Asia, particularly India businesses. From that perspective, we've had multiple M&A activities. So in terms of growth, we've had both organic and inorganic, where operations that have been bolstered onto the business have actually started performing and delivering results, but also operations that have been historically in the business continue to be cash generative and perform very well. Over and above that, the diversification of both by line of business as well as the geographic footprint has actually served us well, because if you look at our overall line of business, we've performed very well across the different lines of business, but also we've performed very well across the geographies. So ultimately, the diversification strategy and making sure that we stick to the African continent has served us well this time around.
Of course, the local economic climate is not conducive for all businesses, and on your side you have diversification. What's to be said about where the bottlenecks could be in terms of doing business on the African continent, in particular in South Africa?
The challenges that we do face, particularly for our clients, continue to be persistency challenges. It is a very tough operating environment. The economic conditions in terms of share of wallet on our clients, disposable income is under pressure. We're seeing inflation, although slightly down, it's still at quite high levels in terms of disposable income. So we're having to compete for that share of disposable income. So I think going forward, we continue to focus on the quality of the business that we sell, but also making sure that we support our long-standing customers by selling the value-adding products that actually make a difference in their lives. So the biggest challenge that I suppose one would say we're worried about, particularly, let's say, in the South African and African market at large, is the challenge of the pressure on our clients' disposable income. On top of that, if you just look at our GDP growth projections as a country and also as a continent, obviously you've got higher projections up of the Limpopo border, but in South Africa, it's still quite limited, and our performance usually has to reflect a tough environment condition that you're performing in the South African context. So that adds on to the pressure.
We'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your input. Abigail Mukhuba is with Sanlam, talking us through their latest results.